The whisper of the Mongols had become a roar across the known world. From the vast steppes of Central Asia, a storm of horsemen had erupted, swallowing empires whole. They had already consumed kingdoms and caliphates, reaching from the borders of Eastern Europe deep into the heart of Asia. Their methods were brutal, their armies seemingly limitless. In the Middle East, the ancient power of the Seljuk Turks had crumbled before them. And then came the unthinkable. In 1258, under the command of Hulagu Khan, brother of the great Khan himself, the Mongol horde descended upon Baghdad. The jewel of Islam, a city of unparalleled learning and wealth, was utterly destroyed. Its inhabitants were slaughtered, its libraries burned. The world reeled. Who could possibly stand against such a force? But in the south, in Egypt and Syria, a different kind of power had been quietly consolidating. They were the Mamluks, not born to privilege, but forged in the crucible of military servitude. Former slave soldiers, trained to absolute perfection, they had risen through the ranks to seize control. And they watched the Mongol advance with grim determination. They would not surrender. They would resist. Under the leadership of Sultan Qutuz, a man who understood the weight of this moment, the Mamluks gathered their strength. An army built around the fearsome charge of their heavily armored cavalry, supported by disciplined infantry. Their destination? A seemingly insignificant spring in the Galilee, a place known even then by a loaded name, Ain Jalut, the spring of Goliath. And so the two forces converged. On September 3, 1260, at Ain Jalut, roughly 20,000 on each side. A number that seems almost insignificant when you consider the fate of nations resting on this dusty field. The Mongol forces, led by the capable General Kitbuka, a trusted lieutenant of Hulagu, positioned themselves near the Jordan River. And that's where the first act of this deadly drama unfolded. Baibars, a Mamluk general known for his brilliance and ambition, led the Mamluk vanguard forward. His mission: engage the Mongols but not break. As the Mongols advanced, their cavalry met Baibars' riders over a ridge. The terrain was broken, sightlines limited. Kitbuka, perhaps sensing an easy victory, committed more of his cavalry, seeking to simply push back these Mamluk skirmishers. But Baibars wasn't just fighting, he was executing a plan. Under pressure, his vanguard began a slow, controlled withdrawal. This wasn't a rout, it was a calculated move. They kept their ranks, firing arrows as they fell back, a stinging, delaying action. They were drawing the Mongol noose, but on their own terms, leading their enemy into a trap. While Baibars played his dangerous game, the main Mamluk army remained unseen. Hidden amongst the trees and hills surrounding Ain Jalut, Sultan Qutuz waited. He understood the Mongol tactics. He knew the value of patience. Baibars and his vanguard finally rejoined the main Mamluk force, having successfully lured the Mongols forward. But Kitbuka, perhaps frustrated by the Mamluks' refusal to break, ordered a full-scale assault. He wanted to crush them before they could fully consolidate. In response, Qutuz committed his right wing, engaging the charging Mongols. Then, the Mongols employed their signature move, the feigned retreat. Kitbuka's forces began to withdraw, firing arrows from horseback, trying to bait the Mamluks into a reckless pursuit. But Qutuz was not fooled. He held his ground, recognizing the classic Mongol ruse. This wasn't the time to chase. It was the time to hold. Thwarted in his initial attempts, Kitbuka changed his approach. He ordered the bulk of his army forward in a massive charge. His goal: break the Mamluk lines, surround them, and annihilate them as they had so many others. The Mamluk right flank braced for impact, and the Mamluk left flank faced the terrifying onslaught. The Mongols, faces etched with the intensity of battle, charged with the full power of their legendary cavalry and devastating mounted archers. The air filled with the sounds of chaos, the thunder of hooves, the twang of bowstrings, the clash of steel, and the cries of the wounded. The Mamluk right flank held firm for now. But on the left, the Mongol tactics seemed to be working. The Muslim ranks were beginning to give ground, pushed back by the sheer ferocity of the Mongol assault. In the midst of this cavalry-focused battle, the Mamluk infantry played a vital, often overlooked, role. Armed with spears, shields, and swords, they formed a crucial anchor for the Mamluk lines. They provided a protective barrier for the cavalry and stood their ground, repelling Mongol horsemen who tried to punch through the Mamluk formations. The conditions were grueling for every soldier on that field. On the Mamluk left flank, the pressure was immense. The hot sun beat down as they engaged in brutal hand-to-hand combat, the sound of their swords ringing out in a desperate rhythm. And then, the moment of crisis. The Mamluk left flank began to collapse. It looked as though the Mongol breakthrough was imminent. But Sultan Qutuz was watching. He saw the danger. With incredible courage, he rode directly into the threatened sector, rallying his men. Shouting "O Islam," a powerful cry that resonated with his troops, he shored up the wavering lines, inspiring them to stand and fight harder. His personal bravery in this critical moment was a turning point. Qutuz's intervention worked. The Mamluks, with their superior discipline and renewed resolve, held their ground. And then they began to push back. The reinforced Mamluk left wing started to regain lost ground, driving the Mongols back. And soon after, the Mamluk right wing joined the counterpush, squeezing the Mongols towards the center of the battlefield. The momentum had irrevocably shifted. The courage and relentless fighting of the Mamluks, inspired by Qutuz and Baibars, allowed them to execute the final, decisive maneuver. They surrounded the entire Mongol army. Kitbuka, true to his warrior code, refused to retreat, leading his trapped forces in a desperate fight. But the Mamluk net was complete. Many Mongols perished as they tried to escape the closing circle. And with that final, brutal blow, the impossible happened. Qutuz emerged victorious, leading the Mamluk forces to an historic triumph at the Battle of Ain Jalut. This wasn't just a victory. It was a seismic shift in world history. For the first time, a Mongol army had been decisively defeated in open battle. The seemingly unstoppable advance was halted. The Muslim world, reeling from the fall of Baghdad, was saved from further conquest by the Mongols. Thanks for joining us on this exploration of a truly epic moment in history. The tale of the Battle of Ain Jalut and the remarkable figures who shaped it is one that continues to fascinate and inspire. It serves as a stark reminder that even against overwhelming odds, courage, strategy, and determination can change the course of destiny. Stay tuned for more deep dives into history's most intriguing battles and the rulers who shaped their times.